For allegedly spreading fakes about the Russian army, the investigative committee of the Russian Federation opened a criminal case against Pyotr Verzilov, who was a member of Pussy Riot and is the publisher of the internet resource Mediazona. Telegram channels Baza and Shot began to disseminate information about this.
The reason was the posts of the publisher of Mediazona on Twitter and Instagram. There, according to the investigation, in April of this year, Verzilov disseminated deliberately false information containing data about the use of army to kill civilians in Bucha. Verzilov was arrested in absentia and put on the international wanted list. However, they have been looking for Verzilov for a long time. In July, a case was opened against him because of dual citizenship and was also put on the wanted list. From the message of Baza online edition on Telegram.
Searches also continue at the homes of members of the Russian movement Voice, the leading association of Russian citizens for independent election monitoring. The organization was recognized as a foreign agent in mid-August 2021, a month before the elections to the State Duma.
Today, a search took place at the residence of Yuri Gurman, a member of the Council of the Voice movement in the Chelyabinsk region. He was also listed in the Federal Security Service certificate from the materials of the criminal case on discrediting the Russian army against the Ivanova activist Gusev. Vitaly Averin, representative of Voice movement on Telegram.
Searches also took place at the home of Maria Tarasolyans, a member of the Voice movement. The activist herself is not in Russia now.
Searches at Voice are also taking place today in Petrozavodsk. A member of the movement, now living in exile, Maria Tarasolyans, told Sota that the security forces also came to her house, where her activist friend was. The girl only managed to report the search, after which the connection with her disappeared. From the message of Sota Telegram channel.
4 residents of Ufa were accused of organizing a terrorist attack on the railway. Dmitry Medvedev, deputy chairman of the Security Council of the Russian Federation, commented on this case, calling the accused foreign students and freaks.
In modern Russia, there is a moratorium on the death penalty. It is very human, although, I will emphasize once again, even within the framework of the current constitution, the moratorium on the death penalty can be overcome, if necessary, by changing the legal positions of the Constitutional Court of Russia. It is a matter of choosing means to protect the interests of our people, the state and society. Dmitry Medvedev, deputy chairman of the Security Council of the Russian Federation on Telegram.
Journalist Yevgenia Baltatarova was detained at the airport of Kazakhstan because of posts on the Telegram channel about the war while trying to fly to Bishkek. Soon she was released from the temporary detention center by decision of the prosecutor.
I asked to give me protocols of detention, search, medical examination, no documents, take in and get out, they told me. It's turned out they took me off the plane like a thing that tickets disappeared back and forced their meeting in Bishkek fell through. They dragged me through the whole city. I was deprived of my license for several hours and after that they think that nothing didn't have, no detention. They just threw me out the gates of the police station without a phone, without money. I sat down on the cold cab and wept bitterly and after that officers came out to me and started negotiations. You'll excuse us, it's not us, it's Russia's fault. They wanted to put me in temporary detention center in accordance with the resolution of the Investigate Committee of Russia. I told them, why do you Kazakh policemen obey the decision of the Russia Investigate Committee? Are you a sovereign state? They refer to the Minsk agreement, but they don't work in this case because I am being persecuted under a politically motivated article. Yevgenia Baltatarova, journalist, in an interview with Radio Azatyk.
Opponents of the war are persecuted and detained in Belarus as well. Thus, an employee of the Belarusian railways, Sergei Konovalov, was convicted up to 15 years in penal colony for allegedly preparing an act of terrorism.
Sergei Konovalov was an employee of the Vitebsk Signaling and Communications Department of the Unitary Enterprise Vitebsk branch of the Belarusian Railways. He was detained on March 6, 2022 for preparing an act of terrorism. According to the Ministry of Internal Affairs, the man allegedly planned to disable systems that ensure the safety of railway traffic. From the message of Vyasna Human Rights Project.
A court in Belarus sentenced 20-year-old student Danuta Perednaya to 6.5 years in a penal colony. She was accused of actions aimed at harming the national interests of Belarus and insulting Alexander Lukashenko.
According to Mayday team, she was blamed for reposting a text in one of the Mogilov chat rooms on February 27th, which sharply criticized the actions of Vladimir Putin and Alexander Lukashenko to unleash a war in Ukraine. It also contained a call for street protests and stated that the Belarusian army had no prospects in the event of its direct entry into the war, from the message of Mayday volunteer initiative on Telegram.
After the beginning of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, in February, several southern Belarusians protested against the war. Protests were brutally dispersed by law enforcement officers and activists were detained. According to Vyasna Human Rights Project, as of November 1st, there are more than 1,350 political prisoners in places of detention on the basis of court verdicts. Their number is growing. Within a month, the human rights community recognized 70 people as such. Reported by Roman Smoler, Yulia Bil, UATV News.